Welcome to the Dear Rochester Retire Well podcast with David Pulcini from 6 Point Financial Partners. In this podcast, find your path towards a brighter financial future with David as your guide as he helps individuals, educators, and healthcare professionals explore ways they can build wealth while minimizing risk using a multifaceted, comprehensive approach to personal finance. Are you ready to take the first step towards a brighter financial tomorrow? Let's get started.
All right, folks, we are back with Marshal Scheidt again because last time I recorded with Marshall, I forgot to hit record. I haven't done that in 100 podcast episodes. Marshall, how are you? How are you doing today?
Good. I had such a good time the first time. I was a little happy that you didn't record it.
We did it a week ago, so it wasn't like back to back here. So we gave ourselves a break. But
yeah,
we wanted to get Marshall back on. Last episode, he talked about how he works with medical sales folks and how he helps them through the process of financial planning. And I wanted to have Marshall come back on and talk about actual folks that he has helped. And really, too, we'll call them either client avatars or real clients. That's up to Marshall. But I want Marshall to tell us, and I think this will be valuable for the listeners, that the people that he's helping, a quick profile, like age, what's going on with them, and then talk about the framework. Like they came in, they had these concerns. We walked them through our process. And when they left that meeting or the series of meetings or the result of that, they now have all of this stuff taken care of. So Marshall can give us specific examples. How much can you take out of your current investments and never run out of money? When is the absolute best time to take Social Security? Are you 100% confident in your investment strategy? Are you paying too much in taxes? Why? If something were to happen to you today, what would they find? If you are doubting any of this and would like a second opinion or to review these items, along with many more, feel free to reach out to us. You can visit us at www.sixpointsfp.com or email us at info@sixpointfp.com. Back to the show. Marshall, why don't you dive right into the first folks and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah. So I think that's a good idea. We'll go into a couple just ideal client situations, I would like to call it. But yeah, the first couple, we'll call them Maddie and Peter. They are in their mid-30s. They have a 3-year-old and one on the way, which actually prompted this meeting, or at least them reaching out. They reached out to me on LinkedIn. I sent them a Calendly link. They were able to schedule a time that worked for them to hop on a Zoom call. And real quickly, we just connect. First meeting, just get to know each other. They told me what was going on. They were a little nervous. They were totally upfront with it. I always like to find what they did in the past, that the financial planning they have, and they didn't really know exactly what it meant, which is not uncommon. But they were nervous about their financial future with another baby on the way. They thought that this was the right time to get serious about their financial planning, which I agreed. But yeah, I mean, they came in, and again, it's not uncommon, but they didn't really have any idea what to do with their investments. And between the two of them, their income was right under $300,000. Maddie was in med sales and Peter worked at a local school, actually. But they didn't know what to do with their investments. Maddie bounced around a little bit earlier on in her career, so she kind of accumulated a bunch of different 401k accounts that, again, there wasn't really any plan in place for those. They had no really plan or reason why they were contributing what they were contributing to their accounts. They didn't know exactly what type of insurances maybe they should be looking into getting. Just really a lot of common things for younger couples, really is kind of what it boiled down to. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Another one that they thought they were paying too much in taxes. I think that's most people. But so anyways, a lot of really good things they were coming in with. So we were able to get everything organized for them. We got a plan in place for their investments. We got to clean those up a little bit. Like I said, a lot of times when people accumulated a lot of different accounts, organization's kind of key. I touched on that last time. As far as the insurances went, it made a lot of sense for them to get some cheap term insurance, cheap in premium, but they need a lot of insurance right now just because of where they're at in their life. Again, with another child on the way. They wanted to Let's see. Another really good thing that they wanted to do and work on was kind of figure out how they were going to help their kids pay for college, if that's something that they wanted to do. Obviously, that's super hard to project, but that was something that we were able to work on. So after the initial few meetings, they felt extremely confident in all of these things. So it's me telling you, I mean, we had a plan for their investments, but they could actually explain this stuff to you if you asked them, they would know exactly what was going on. And I think that's super helpful. I think I touched on that last time. I can't remember what we talked about.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. But the insurances, they're super confident in why we got the amount of insurance, the type of insurances we got. We know exactly what we're contributing, which is always helpful, and they know exactly why they're contributing what they're contributing. They understand the taxes that they're spending, and we're going to see how we come out. We got them connected with a tax professional, which they definitely needed to do. And then the other thing that they didn't even really know that they needed, but we really had to do some estate planning work for them. Peter let me know that they're probably going to be getting an inheritance at some point. So we wanted to make sure that was planned for. That's one of the main things that we need to make sure that we take care of, just because a lot can go awry in a financial plan if the correct estate planning documents are in place. So yeah, super helpful for them, I think. And I really enjoyed working with them. That was, like I said, a really ideal situation.
So let me give a quick summary here, Marshall, and correct me if I'm wrong. They got a hold of you because they were having a second child and they wanted to get serious about financial planning. Very common, folks, not even just in medical sales, but in really a lot of financial planning. There's some triggering event that happens that makes people want to get serious. And in this case, it was the second child, not the first one, but the second one, right? So, so they came in and they didn't know what to expect. Like a lot of people, they have no idea what meeting with a financial advisor may be all about, or what does a financial advisor even do. So Marshall walked them through that process. And at the end of it, all of the areas of financial planning seem to be taken care of. So I always default to 6 points because that's our name, 6 Point Financial Partners. And first one's investments, right? You help them choose the right investments for their accounts. You help them consolidate. They were saving a good amount of money, and you help them maybe redirect it to the right place, not just the right investments, but also the right place. Should we save it before tax or after tax? You help them with their retirement income plan, which is the second point, right? You help them, hey, how much do we need to save for retirement? I know it's a long way off, but let's get in the ballpark right now. Yep. The third thing you helped with was the risk management, which could be life insurance, disability. Let's just make sure that's in place. Beneficiaries are up to date, all of that stuff. Fourth, estate planning. A lot of younger folks come in, medical sales or not, and one of their to-do list items all the time, almost every single time I meet with somebody, I've been meaning to do this. It's the will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, potential trust. Get that stuff set up. The beneficiaries were coordinated with Marshall's accounts because he knew the estate planning attorney. Tax planning, let's reduce our taxes. Marshall's right. I've never heard anybody say that I paid too little in taxes. It's only the other way around. I either want a larger refund or I don't like to pay as much. So how do we minimize the taxes now and in the future? Marshall ran them through a tax plan. And then the custom goal planning could be stock options, right? Especially in med sales.
Yep. Yeah. That was another thing. She just started getting those. That was kind of a newer benefit to her. But yeah, I mean, just the nuances in that and knowing when to take them or what to really do with them once they vest is something a lot of people come in, they're not really sure. And, we educate them and build that confidence around those so we can actually use them as a real tool.
Yeah. So then so for Maddie and Peter, what is the review process for them? So how often are you getting together with them to, folks, if you're listening to this, I just threw out so much work you don't even know. Like those things that I just listed, each one of those 6 points is a lot of work for Marshall and the team. But we need to make sure we're reviewing all of those things and staying up to date on laws, investments, tax codes, all of the stuff. So how often are you meeting with them in person, or is this virtual? How does that work?
Yeah, part of that process is when they come in, we will give them their communication calendar, which basically just outlines and keeps us all accountable that they're going to hear from me monthly. That doesn't necessarily mean that we need to meet monthly, which it doesn't mean that at all, quite honestly, but they will get a video from me monthly where the reason I do that is to stay in front of them. So if something comes up, they can easily get a hold of me, but we will meet generally annually, at least, especially this stage. It's like, they're two busy professionals literally building a family. They don't need to see me all the time, but just knowing that the ability to meet is always there because things are changing so rapidly. But scheduled meetings will meet at least annually, but they'll hear from me much, much more than that.
It's on their own time, which is why I love the videos. So
the videos, they can play them.
Play them whenever you want. Yeah.
Play them whenever you want. And again, a lot of them don't really prompt a response even. It's just like, here I am, here's what's going on. This, like, just keep you updated on what's going on in your plan and moving forward.
Yeah, my favorite video is coming up in June, and it's the beneficiary video that we send to all of our clients. And the responses are the best. So that one's the best one, but I'll send a beneficiary video and I'll get hey, Dave, can you change my address? Or, hey, Dave, can I get $20,000? Or I want to deposit $50,000. It's like, it has nothing to do with the video, but Marshall, you're totally right. It's a way to be there. And so someone can just hit reply. And then also once they go through your calendars, especially at the end of it, pretty much every area of financial planning is covered. So
a quick interruption. 6 Point Financial Partners is taking on new clients. If you would like to take the next step in planning your future with Dave or the 6 Point team, please visit them at www.6pointfp.com to schedule a time or reach out via LinkedIn, Facebook, or simply find us on the internet by searching 6 Point Financial Partners. Okay, back to the show.
All right. That's our younger couple. I know we had one more that we wanted to get into, and it might be a couple on the other end of their career where they've accumulated the assets and they have some wealth and they're considering leaving a very high income position for retirement. So tell us about them.
Yeah. So again, another really ideal situation for us as a team. Steve and Michelle came in. Steve has been in medical sales for over 30 years, and he's basically just getting ready for that next step and kind of seeing what that looks like. And that really just means taking his foot off the pedal, which is super. I love that. Again, I said that last time, but I love that drive and I love the grind that comes with it. But Steve and Michelle especially, is ready for Steve to chill out a little bit and think seriously about retirement. Again, that's another really big reason why people are reaching out when it's like, okay, we're going to take financial planning seriously, maybe in our 30s or younger. And then when we're getting closer to retirement, we're taking retirement actually very seriously. Steve and Michelle, they had 2 grown kids out of the house. So they come in a little bit later with the estate planning stuff that we had to cover. Yep. But they really weren't that unlike Maddie and Peter. Their investments were kind of all over the place when they came in. Not really sure what to do with those. Big plan. It was a mess. I'll be honest. It was a mess. Steve was working a bunch of different places in his career, and all of those accounts are still there. It was kind of like a time capsule. It's kind of interesting. Going through.
I reckon 17, Marshall. Did he have
more? It wasn't quite 17. But yeah, no, it was very interesting going back through those.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went over a lot of strategies on getting those accounts together so it's a little bit easier to actually use that money when they are retired. And again, we weren't really sure when they wanted to do that, whether it be next year, next few years, whatever. But another really important thing that we had to cover with them, which they didn't even think about, was what happens with their employer life insurance policies that they have. Are those able to go with them? Each company is a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, talking about company stock options, Steve had accumulated a very large sum in those, and we had to deal with some. I mean, you know this, but there's a lot of gains that get embedded with those. So that was something we had to cover in the tax planning portion of all this. Like I said, just thinking of efficient ways to draw down on those, unwind those gains, and then also looking at the retirement accounts and efficient ways to use them. The problem was definitely not, they weren't going to run out of money in retirement. That was for sure. But their main goal was doing this in an efficient way so they can leave something to the kids.
Okay. Yeah.
That was important.
We get mixed results on those, right? Some people say, I don't want to leave anything. Other folks say, I want to leave it all behind. How do I leave as much behind as possible? But yeah, we have plenty on retirement income planning. So these folks came in and Marshall, I just know this. So what he does is he'll help figure out, how much money do I need every month? What is the best place to take it from? Is it stock options? Is it after-tax money? Is it potentially selling your house and downsizing? Is it taking out of your 401k? Let's make sure we're not going over certain taxable triggers or events. What are we doing for Medicare? What are you doing for RMDs? So someone has 17 different retirement accounts. How are you possibly calculating the RMD required at age 73, we'll call it? Like, good luck. Unless you have it's so a lot of times consolidating those assets for folks in these situations is very common. We see it all the time, but there are a lot of things that go with that. So if someone has multiple retirement accounts, I mean, we can make a whole podcast about this. What are we doing with all of those? Are they working together? What's the strategy? They're probably invested all over the place. We have no idea what fees and costs are involved. We have no idea what plan it's with. If you get it into one IRA in your name, it typically makes much more sense for a lot of reasons, including tracking, maintenance, the RMDs. I don't want to scare anybody. You're going to want that to happen for sure. Unless there's some, I have seen, I'll say this with the disclaimer. This is my disclaimer. I have seen a couple of instances where it makes sense to keep the 401k open because of company stock involved. And I'm not going to get into taxes on that kind of thing, but it may be different than just rolling it all over. So it doesn't always make sense, but 99% of the time it does, to make sure to get into the same account. So again, hey, Marshall, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, these two came in. Retirement planning was a big one. They wanted to know how to efficiently take their money, update all of their stuff. You help them with that. You help them get organized, consolidate. And then if Steve decides to retire, he can retire with confidence now because you have put together a plan on how and where to take the money, and then what's he going to do. And Michelle will be happy because he's chilled out a little bit, right? So.
Yeah, no, you got it. You got it. And they're going to be fun to work with moving forward, I think, just because it's just super interesting. Their kids do super cool things. They're nowhere near them. So that was another thing, though. They were really worried about, what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, it's common. So the other thing I notice, Marshall, when you're working with these folks is like you help a Maddie and Peter and you do a good job. And then they came in, as we say, apprehensive, and they left feeling confident and they were anticipating what was going to happen. And we got ahead of their evolving needs. And it's the same for Steve and Michelle. And when that happens, it's really interesting in our world for the listeners. Like when we know we do a really good job is when people like Maddie and Peter, Steve and Michelle are like, can I please introduce my friends to you? Because if they don't, they feel like it's to steal this line from one of my financial planning heroes, it's a disservice not to introduce Marshall to my friends. Like, he's going to make my friends feel so much better. I feel like I have to introduce them to Marshall. That is just an awesome place to be. And it's because of really the process and the system that Marshall's built around medical sales folks. I think those are the two case studies, we'll call it, or two ideal clients. Let's leave it there. Marshall, how can folks get a hold of you if they want you to walk them through this process?
Yeah, a lot like the folks we just talked about. I prefer LinkedIn. My email is probably available through this podcast notes too, but I like interacting on LinkedIn, so you can always just find me there, and hopefully some of the stuff that we post is helpful.
Yeah,
so make sure
how do
you
you spell your last name? Spell your last name for everybody.
Scheidt.
Yeah, that's and Marshall's with one L. That gets everybody.
Marshall with one L is the one that screws people up. And then pronouncing my last name is wrong, but I'm gonna say it too. It's Scheidt. Yeah, you nailed it, but
I know Marshall.
Understandably mispronounced.
Another disclaimer: I've known Marshall for a little while. So, all right, folks, we'll leave it there. If you need to get a hold of me, it's dpulcini at 6pointfp.com. You can find us at 6pointfp.com or find me on LinkedIn. But for now, make it a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Dear Rochester Retire Well podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of 6 Point Financial Partners. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Content here is for illustrative and educational purposes only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analysis of 6 Point Financial Partners. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by 6 Point Financial Partners or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, 6 Point Financial Partners, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.